Grizz Nation, welcome into another Grizz Game Day update. Today, the Grizzlies will take on the Trailblazers for the final time this season. Also, our final home game for the regular season in FedExForum. Joining me is Brooke Olzendam. Are you ready? Oh, your last visit here this year. That's so sad.
I know, it's so sad, but gosh, you guys, the weather here is lovely. I went for a nice walk down to the river last night. It was just beautiful.
Yeah, so nice. It's been so nice, although there was a tornado last week, so it's nice.
Glad we came this week.
Yeah. All right, look, it's the last back-to-back for the Grizzlies, the last home game. I'm gonna go, I think, Brooke, through the injury report first because
we'll be here a while for us.
on our end, it's just Dylan Brooks who is questionable today. Everyone else, like who is out, is out. Steven Adams, Brandon Clark, and everyone else is in. For the Trailblazers, there are 8 guys who are out, including some of the big names, Dame, Nurk, Simons. 4 more guys are questionable. So a very short bench today.
Yeah.
So instead of focusing on that, I figure we focus on who is playing. And shout out Canada, Shaedon Sharpe has been having a hell of a few games. He's on back-to-back 27-point games, 30-point game before those two. What have you liked from him?
Everything. Yeah, obviously him and a lot of the younger guys getting extended minutes right now with all those injuries, as you just mentioned. And we always knew that Shaedon was a freak of an athlete. I mean, he's had some amazing dunks this, like Sports Center.
Yeah.
Like every night we expect at least one, and the next one's better than the last one. Mm-hmm. So we knew he was an athlete, but we've talked about this a lot, that the fact that he went to Kentucky but did not play last year, so he literally went a year without playing, and he's thrust into the NBA with the greatest players in the world. And yeah, he has all that natural ability, but as the coaching staff will say, we have to help him be NBA ready, which you can be a great athlete, but you have to do your homework. You have to watch film on your opponents. You have to prepare. You have to put in the work in the off season. And I talked with Shaedon a bunch in this last week and a half, where he's just been playing out of his mind. And he said, I really jumped into the film sessions. Like that's how the only way right now that I'm going to get better. And so when we played Minnesota and actually won the game, which was it was fantastic. I didn't see it coming, but Rudy Gobert, he said, he went at Rudy Gobert and had this like crazy finish. And he talked about it afterwards. And he said, well, I've watched a bunch of film on Rudy, and I knew how he defends down low and like where his body is from where your point of attack is. So he actually knew what kind of shot he wanted to get up in that play. You would have asked him that at the beginning of the season when he was playing maybe 13, 14 minutes. No way. Absolutely not. So he has been an absolute bright spot during this time. And he's just really coming into his own. And when you see him playing all these minutes, you're like, he's playing with freedom, because he's not going to get yanked if he makes mistakes. And towards the beginning of the season, Coach Phillips will tell you he was making a lot of mistakes. But now when he'll only make it once. That's what Coach Phillips says. He's like, he'll still make them. He's learning. And so he even sometimes comes over to coach and says, like, I already know, I wasn't communicating, or I didn't see that. And so he realizes on his own, and then doesn't make that same mistake again. So yeah, it's been so much fun to watch Shaedon, and he's just like how high he can jump. He's hit his head on the backboard this year more than once. Yeah. And so he's always down for a highlight or two, but just to see him be confident in his shots and just confident as a leader, you can actually hear him. He's a very quiet guy, and he'd tell you, but you can actually hear his voice out there defensively and running the show. So he's just growing up right before our eyes.
Shout out Shaedon Sharpe. You brought up that Timberwolves game, which was on Sunday. That's the game that you guys are coming off of, a big win against a team that's like still in the running for playoffs, play-in, all of that in this Western Conference. So in that game, there was some really good things. Like I mentioned, Shaedon Sharpe, 27 points. There was 12 steals by the Trailblazers, and also 62 points in the paint. So I think it would be unfair, Brooke, to look at the last games where these two teams played each other, because they're different teams now. There's potentially 12 guys, rotation guys out or questionable today for the Trailblazers. But you can look at that last game that had similar guys playing. And I want to know what won that game? Mm-hmm. How did they win this game against a team that's still, vying for playoff spots?
Well, it's interesting. We have a couple guys on 10 days, just met him last week. One of them just came that morning when we played Minnesota. Mm-hmm. And so, it's one of those things where they're on auditioning essentially, and not just for the Blazers, but for other teams watching them, coming from the G League, and they're like, I got to take advantage of these minutes, and, eyeballs are on me. And so they're out there just playing free. Like Skylar Mays was awesome. It's fantastic. Shaq Harrison, he was great too. And they're just out there playing free, and they're not worried. It's like there's nothing to lose. You know what I mean? Yeah. So down the stretch, though, I will say I was super impressed with the composure they showed for a group of guys that haven't played a ton together. They were just calm. They took good care of the ball. They, defense leading to offense is a big momentum getter for us, or it's momentum starter for us. And so it was so much fun to watch. I mean, all of us, our PR staff and our writer, we're all sitting there looking at each other like, is this happening? This is crazy. And Kevin Knox, who's not as new as the 10-day guys, but he is newer to the team. And he was so comfortable out there. Coach loves him, offensively, especially because he says he's really patient. And on closeouts, he's like, a skill that's not talked about enough in the NBA is your reaction to closeouts. And apparently Kevin Knox, very good at it. Yeah, very good. Keep an eye out for that tonight, because now I'm watching it all the time now because Coach just raves about it. I'm like, yeah, he's like, it's an NBA skill that like I try to teach my guys from the beginning of the season. It's kind of hard to teach, but Kevin Knox just has that ability on his own. So he played great. He was our walk-off interview, fantastic. All the guys and the coaching staff coming up. It was just such an unexpected win that everyone was just, it was a moment that the team needed, because these guys are out there working their tails off, and at some nights 8 players total, they're tired, but they're pushing through. But youth comes through in those games too. So like, to be 19 and not really get winded anymore or not get winded at all. But yeah, that was a crazy win, but it was a nice moment.
So you mentioned it's going to be 8 or 9 guys, depending on questionable game time decisions there. So because this is a very new roster that the Grizzlies are seeing this year, yes, we're comfortable with the Trailblazers, maybe not so much with a lot of names that are going to be out there today. I want to do just like a very quick to end this, like matchup type wise.
Okay.
Ja Morant, obviously you don't stop Ja. It's like Dame. You don't stop Dame. You try and slow them down. You're trying to contain them. Who's the defensive? I mean, you guys have Matisse Thybulle still, right? Like, who's the defensive matchup with a point guard?
I would add Matisse Thybulle to the questionable list as well. So I don't know. I would normally say Matisse. That would be my easiest answer ever, would be Matisse Thybulle, who's fantastic defensively, as you guys, we've talked about that before. But he's questionable, so we will take him off the table just for. No, don't pay. We just found out last night. It's hard to keep up. Not your fault. So we'll just say he's not playing. Like I'd say Shaden's really gotten a lot better defensively. He's quick. I would say he's definitely a possibility, but might everybody all in, a lot of switching, a lot of double teaming job, because that will be the game plan tonight. Keep the ball out of his hands, because with a team that's just getting to know each other, you would love for the communication to be there, but it's just it's not there yet. So communication defensively is obviously so important when you're trying to defend a guy like Ja. So I think it's gonna come down to helping and double teaming and just trying to throw as many bodies at him as possible. But I would say would look for Shade if we start on him.
Okay, and it could be the same answer, because I know it's going to take a team. It'll be a lot of team defense. But Jaren Jackson Jr., like, is there a big that the Grizzlies fans can look out for tonight?
I would think Trendon Watford would be the guy. And Trendon's a great defender too. He's really smart. He's a good defender. He does a good job of defending without fouling, which is obviously difficult down low. So I would look for Trendon on him, and he was out with an injury for a couple games, but he is back and has a few games under his belt. So I'd look for T-Dub on him.
Brooke, thank you so very much.
Of course.
Thank you. I'll see you at the arena.
Yes, see you there. I'm going down to get on the bus right now, and I will see you there. Looking good.
Grizzly fans, this one is at 7 p.m. regular tip-off time, and it's on Valley Sports Southeast and Valley Sports Plus app.